All right, I just want to give you a brief introduction to designing e-commerce emails before we get into MailChimp itself. And so just a few key principles for designing emails. And the first is simplicity. So you want to focus on a single key outcome for each email communication. This harkens back to what I mentioned previously about being very intentional about your goals. The second is hierarchy. So you want to use font size and weight to create a message hierarchy, and this will give the user a very clear idea of where they should focus their attention and in what order. The third is consistency. So I'm going to show you how to create a template to ensure that you're using the same fonts, colors, and design patterns across communications. And finally, you want to keep in mind user context. So people are viewing your email in many different situations and contexts. They could be looking at it on a mobile device, they could be looking at it at a desktop, they could be traveling on a public transit, or they could be relaxing at home. They may be very much in the mode to buy, or they may be just perusing your products at this point. All of those need to be taken into consideration as you're designing an email. And that's why I'm going to suggest a very simple email template structure that looks like this. You'll have your logo header at the top, you'll have your main image underneath that, and you'll have your headline, bit of body text, you'll have your button and call to action. This is what you want the person to do. We'll have some boilerplate brand content, and then finally there's the footer content, which will have your address, unsubscribe, and social links. Let's look at different types of email content. And I'll get into each one of these in more detail, but there's the new product launch or product introduction email. There's a sale or offer email. There's a contest email. There's the value-added content email. There's a PR or news flash email. And there's the brand positioning email. So before we get into designing an actual email template, I'd like you to create this boilerplate brand info that I alluded to in the previous slide. And this may be something you've already created. It may be sitting on your website that you can just repurpose, or you may have to start it from scratch. But choose one of the following ideas. You could be a positioning or benefit statements about your brand. You can add some icons if you want to make it a little slicker. You could use an as seen on section with using press logos of notable media companies that have covered you. You could use some testimonials from satisfied customers. Or you could even use a bit of your founder's story. If you've got a interesting founder's story that could link to your about page, or could just be a photo of you with a brief background on the inspiration behind your product or brand. So once you've completed that, we can get right into designing our first email template.